There we go. Video. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Trucks.
Hello everybody, this is a emergency trucks, which we're recording on the 18th of April, having realized that this was probably the final opportunity we would have to do it over the course of this month. So this is a good old-fashioned freestyle trucks. We have topic in mind. It is, in fact, Armpit April.
We've been racked with miscellaneous tech issues today as well, just adding to the fun.
Well, yeah,
there's one on your screen right now.
Unusual.
What is unusual is that we've got the fidgety style of steering wheel. However, I don't think it's just.
I think it's good slapstick.
Yeah. This guy's really working hard behind the wheel.
Yep. Yeah, he is. So I think that in this trucks we should talk about sex.
Oh. Okay.
Because it is, after all, Armpit April.
Ambushing me with the sex subject. Let's do it.
Yes. I mean, if there's nothing more sexy than an ambush, first of all. And I've been thinking about a few things that I've seen around lately, just sort of percolating in the back of my head. Are you familiar with the term a man of culture?
I mean, I've heard it said, but is this in a
more
specific sense?
This is current internet speak for pervert.
Okay, gotcha.
And a specific type of pervert. And I'm basing this entirely upon the VTube comment section, which I assume is indicative of the culture at large among perverts, because where else will you find the pervert consensus than in the YouTube comment section on VTuber videos? But yes, specifically a man of culture is a man who appreciates nuances in his consumption of sexual materials. That is, we've moved beyond the basic elements of ass man and breast man.
We're into waifus who are emotionally complicated in some way.
I think it's interesting that you went directly into emotions there. Can you be perverted over emotions?
I don't know. I think you can work emotions into your perversion for sure.
I mean, you certainly can.
But yes. I'm just trying to triangulate based on where I've seen this term used, and it's I guess what my mind is jumping to is that you might be called a man of culture over your choice of virtual girl, and
yes.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess I did kind of leap to it's not, you didn't just pick the girl who's pretty, you picked the one who has something going on. Culture.
Yes, but I think that something going on is probably more along the lines of falls into a particular sort of sexual niche that is a little bit more elevated. For example, the armpit.
The armpit. I see.
You can be interested in the armpit. A man of culture might be interested in an armpit, or an older lady, or any of a variety of things. It's when you announce yourself as a man of culture, you are announcing yourself as a sort of connoisseur of the what's the word that I want?
The bod?
The gestalt of the bod. A man of culture is open to accessing the erotic potential of any and all bodies, or has a particular, may have a particular favorite within that, but in order to arrive at this point, you have to sort of embark upon a journey.
So it's like being into craft beer instead of
exactly.
Budweiser.
I think that there is a certain element of connoisseurship involved in this. And the other thing that I saw,
are feet elevated or are feet basic?
I think feet are definitely elevated. I mean, you could say that among fetishes, it's a pretty basic fetish, but this is, when you start thinking about it in those terms, it seems to me like one of those, you're going into a different kind of meme, which is one of those increasingly subterranean music genres memes.
Okay, yeah.
But I don't think that we need to get particularly deep with this.
I'm having to make such tiny little motions on my control stick. You see how even just the slightest nudge makes my entire truck jerk?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, no. I think that you need to be more delicate with your truck jerking if we're going to be able to have this conversation.
Yes, indeed. I'm tweaking this little rubber nipple with intense precision and care.
Excellent. That's the kind of focus that we're going to require if we're going to get through this unscathed. But I want to pair this with the other, with another image that I saw recently, another meme, which was, I think it's from TikTok, and it was like, 5 positions that men don't realize they assume while they're sleeping.
Okay.
And in one of these images, the gentleman was demonstrating what he referred to as the bi-curious leg, where he was, he was on his belly and sort of like cuddled up to the pillow asleep style, but had thrown the blankets off, and he had one knee up and one leg out, thus displaying his boxer-clad ass. And like, this is a man with a good ass, right?
Sure.
And good thighs. And I was like, okay. So the idea behind this is that presenting yourself as an object of desire in this way, right? Because this guy clearly, you could say, this is a gay joke, in the most basic way. Sure. But like, this guy also clearly, the person who took this picture, whoever it was, knew what they were doing, right? They knew exactly the element of this to highlight, to make this gentleman seem very attractive. And it's not like down the, it's not down brute one male attractiveness, right? There's no brutality to it. It's not like, I'm
it's just
big
emphasizing those curves.
Exactly. It's, this man is asleep, he's vulnerable, he's curvy.
Yeah.
It's
a feminine, you could call it a feminine way of being perceived as attractive.
You could, and which is like what,
that's
there's plenty of arguments that this is like part of the root of homophobia is the impetus to not be seen as the object of desire in this way, as
right.
Because there's a certain amount of vulnerability and openness attached to it. But I want to put it to you that it is good for men and good for the culture not to view this as a way of seeing the masculine body as necessarily homosexual or queer even. Yeah. I think that regardless of who you are attracted to, who you want to be attracted to, anybody can benefit from seeing themselves as a sex object.
Right.
And like,
I'm reminded of another meme.
Go for it.
This goes a little far back, I think, but the best I can remember it is like it's, I believe it was images of Batman, and it's like what men think women want a superhero to look like, or something, and it's a gruff Batman, looking tortured and grizzled and muscular, but tastefully, quote unquote, tastefully presented in the suit, not just revealing enough, Whereas and then it's like what women actually want a superhero to look like, and it's like a big wet Batman with soppy eyes and like a much more form-fitting outfit, but like a little bit less fit, like not bodybuilder so much as just kind of lean steak,
Right, exactly. And a touch of softness.
Yes, indeed.
And like part
but,
of
I look at it. I will admit, like I look at an image like that, and there's a part of me that feels overexposed or something by the idea.
By the idea of
the same part of me that doesn't necessarily want to go shirtless on the beach, you know?
Right.
Like,
I mean, and that I think that gut reaction is, you know, definitely in the culture, you know,
yes,
manifesting itself through you, and it's,
yes,
I think, a very relatable reaction that a lot of people, you know, I'm talking about, you know, and just as an aside, I'm talking about cis men here, but I think that, you know, anybody who is investigating masculinity for any number of reasons can, you know, relate to this.
Yeah.
And I want to what I would like to bring in is the innovations that the idea of the man of culture has brought to the way that we, that this community of VTuber, and I'm sure that this is incredibly toxic in other places, but in the VTuber, like YouTube comments community, it's all very positive and enthusiastic.
Mm-hmm.
There's very little, you know, body shaming, and like, it's certainly true that across the board in the culture, even outside of this niche, we have grown to be able to celebrate multiple body types, you know.
Yeah.
If you view the cultural lens on women, you know, which there's definitely one kind of attractive woman at some point, and then we have you know, people of color to thank for this. You know, they're like, but have you considered thickness? Have you considered the possibilities of thickness? Have you considered that, you know, there may be things to enjoy and to celebrate in all kinds of different body types. And like the idea that there was, you know, the old dad joke, you know, does my butt look big in this, you know, no longer makes any sense. But it's like, yes, congratulations, you know, is the current, you know, is the current response to that question. And of course, you know, these are all modes that go in and out of fashion, but I think that we are at a cultural place right now, perhaps to an unprecedented extent, where there are a lot of different ideas of female beauty coexisting within the culture, and you can sort of signify your appreciation for different archetypes. And what I would like to do is I would like to get men in on that.
Okay.
Thick thighs save lives? Well, that's true of men too. You know?
Yeah.
There are, you know, you talk about dad bods. This is sort of like, the idea of dad bods coming in was like women sort of being like tiptoeing up to the idea, you know, that like, hey, we might want things that aren't just like a, you know, a man who looks like he's been, like, you could grate, you know, root vegetables on his abs. There are other archetypes that we find interesting, because the panoply of sexual expression and sexual enjoyment is enormous.
Right.
And like, we all know this anyway, because people who are not, you know, considered attractive by mainstream cultural standards find each other, fall in love, and enjoy each other's bodies all the time. That's how the human race continues to populate itself. But I think that there should be a wider expression of this. And like, in response to what you were talking about earlier, like that I want to cover up on the beach, I don't like the idea of myself looking that exposed. Men, take your shirt off. Men, I want you to try lounging coquettishly, regardless of what your body is like. I want you to many
interesting angles here.
Yeah, no.
I'm referring, of course, to the bodies of the men.
Think of many interesting angles that you could be photographed from then. Think about moving your hips independently. You're not trained to do this if you're not a dancer, right? It's not something that you are generally, you know, thought of to do. But, you know, try it. Try moving your hips around. You know,
there are trickinesses here.
Yes. Please go ahead.
When you know, we can and should encourage men to objectify themselves, the stigmas will still be encountered. You know?
Oh, certainly.
Certain traits are easier to get away with than others. A dad bod is a delight, but you know, maybe like something like a hairy back. You know, easy to suffer self-consciousness around, and easy for passers-by to make rude jokes about. And I mean no offense to my hairy-backed brothers and sisters, but you know what I mean.
I personally enjoy
the culture is,
man, but yes, I understand what
the
you're
culture
saying.
is readier to accept certain things than others, and
well, I mean,
you know, I wish very much that, and maybe in many ways it is, the answer is simply to like say, fuck all that stigma and just get out there shirtless and brave and joyful.
It's like, men, are you like, would you like to get in on just disrupting things by your very presence? If you're fat and weird looking, dress sexily. See what happens. Like, women have already been through this discourse, right?
Yeah.
But like, you know, and not like, you know, there are things that one can do, you know. If you do not want to emphasize your hairy back, there are other ways to emphasize your sexuality, right? Taking off your shirt may not be the answer for you, personally, you know. But there may be other things that you can do. And it's like, I don't think that it's very difficult to even find clothing that is meant to emphasize the male body.
Yeah, very difficult.
Very, very difficult. It's like
the best you can do is wear a t-shirt that's a size or two too small. And
that's medium
this,
T.
Unfortunately, may not have the desired effect. It may just make you look like you don't know how to dress.
Exactly. So, you know, but this is the thing, you have to move the culture in order to create the demand, you know?
Yeah.
And we have...
Sounds like hard work.
It is hard work, but, you know, like, what, you know, as a cis man, what opportunities do you have to push the culture along? You know, here's one. Get out there and push the boundaries of what is acceptable for funny-looking men. And you know, it's not like you have to, you know, make yourself into a clown. I think that there's, I think that sort of the core of this is the truth that there is sensuality possible in almost every kind of body, you know?
Yeah.
Like almost every kind of body, in every kind of body, really. You know, and it's more easily accessible, perhaps.
My steering wheel, no! Oh,
wow.
God. I knew something like that was going to happen eventually. Oh, my God. How are we going to get out of this one?
Magical truck teleportation is going to have to be the way, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. Never mind.
We're making progress. It really is a pain in the ass to drive this way. I just want that to be
Josh, what the fuck would you even try that AI car? Give me a fucking break. Yeah, no, I appreciate your sacrifice for continuing to do this, even as I bombard you with raw adult content.
Okay, where were we? We were talking about not having to make yourself a clown.
Yeah. You know, there's like there's the model of, you know, making a spectacle of yourself as an erotic object, just in order to sort of, as a fuck you to the culture, you know.
Let's try to come up with some specific avenues to doing that, shall we? Other than simply taking your shirt off, like how? I'm like struggling to come up with a mental image of this, and like honestly. And you know, my brain is reproducing culture again. I'm having trouble coming up with ways of not just coming off as gay.
Well, I mean, I guess that's
sort of projectedly, pointedly gay.
I guess that's sort of part of the point, though, is that, you know, I think there are ways to do it that don't involve coming off as pointedly gay. You may come off as like pointedly Italian, perhaps, or pointedly European.
Yeah.
There's sort of the, vests and suit jackets in weird scenarios, and then, frankly, also
Yep.
just like blousy shirts, dresses. The more the more we can normalize heterosexual men wearing women's like traditionally clothes that are traditional for made for women, the better off we'll be.
That's true.
I wear tights a lot these days.
Okay.
For practical reasons. I wear them at work. But like today I got,
What we need is
I
like
got
those
misgendered
sweatpants
by
with the
some
word
wag
juicy on
being
the
a
back.
6'3" dude wearing, tights. You can like, it's that kind of stuff, Try if you come off as gay, right? There's an easy way to shall we say to defray that assumption, and that is to hit on women.
Right.
In the socially acceptable ways that we've already delineated.
Yes, as we've discussed in trucks prior,
Right.
that too is a tightrope act
Indeed.
sometimes.
And I this of course may add additional difficulty to that, but peacocking, there are plenty of cultures where it's like, if you look at like, the sort of the incredibly tight jeans and boots and like high heeled boots idea that, cowboy shit, Mexican shit, that's all like, definitely highlighting the erotic potential of the male body right there, but not, necessarily coming
Sure.
off as femme.
Well, I'm definitely not drawing any cards here that feel like ways I want to sex up my presentation.
Well, I mean, I think that you sort of have to, part of it is just has to be, I think, like accessing your own sensuality. Wow. That steering wheel
I'm on
went
my side.
completely fucking berserk.
F7. Tow me, baby.
My God.
Tow me. I'm sorry, what were you saying?
Sometimes when you are too indelicate with your little rubber nipple, bad things can happen. But
Yeah, don't play with your partner's nipples while they're driving a heavy truck, please.
if you take one thing away from this trucks, what I was saying is that I think that I think that for a lot of men, like, dressing up is not necessarily the entree into this mindset. I think that it's also about like how you carry yourself and how you present yourself non-verbally. And
Yes.
you have to, I think that what they will say is like you have to figure out a way in which you can feel sexy and then sort of follow that.
Yeah. Okay. I'm a little more with you there. The nonverbal aspect has been very important to me lately.
It's like
much is communicated through vibe, as I've struggled to verbalize on many an occasion.
Yeah, it's like a body that you may be, sort of in a position where you think your body is irredeemably, and I'm not talking to you here, I'm talking to an imaginary listener.
Oh yeah, this was another point actually. That I think you're just about to touch on, like the kind of incel philosophy of like my bone structure is wrong, and therefore I will never be attractive to any woman. Like I think another cultural front actually where this battle could be fought is like in something that you could call restorative justice for incels.
I mean, as distressing a series of words as that is that you just said. I think that you're right. It's like, oh yeah, your bone structure might be fucked up, but have you considered moving as if you are, have you considered not adding a hunch of shame to that? Have you considered not moving through the world as if nobody should look upon you, as if you're the Elephant Man? Head up, chest out, looking around you. Have you considered working on the way that you walk and the way that you move your hands?
Right.
Yeah. Have you considered gliding? Have you considered poise? Much can be done with even the funniest looking individual if the said funny looking individual moves in a graceful and controlled way.
Right.
And it is certainly true that some of the funniest looking men who have ever been spawned upon this earth can exude sexuality.
Oh yes. Try dancing. Go dance.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to go from like zero to go dancing if you're not comfortable in your body.
Absolutely.
Which is part of why I'm like, what I said earlier was, in bed tonight, try, just sort of lounging. Try to think about, try to move your body in a sort of a sensual way. Try to just act, occupy your body and feel what that's like. Try arching your various bits.
We're talking about like untangling the various mental knots that might eventually permit you to try dancing.
Or even physical knots. You're going to be better at dancing if you're more, if you have stretched sometime in the last several years. And, it's kind of hypocritical. I mean, I was born to boogie, despite what it may seem like from the outside. But I think that for most people, at least, your body has a natural response to rhythm, and it's just a matter of getting your brain out of the way and letting it do what it wants. Drugs may help with all of this also.
True.
I think one of the...
oh my god, we've got a real collision.
We may have just had... Yep. There we go. We've broken so many laws today. Boom!
Try driving a truck, Women dig
Try
that.
driving a truck specifically with a
So do men.
incredibly
Everyone
oversensitive
digs
joystick. Try drinking milk. Yeah, no, these... Whoa, holy shit.
I could topple my truck so easily if I wanted to. I'm honestly like having to move my stick like within 5 degrees, It's
it's just extraordinary to me how we've been doing this for so many years, and yet it's continuously gotten worse, the technical difficulties. Like...
The fucking... I don't understand why the controller support in this game is so whack, and like I also don't find anyone else talking about it.
I
like
think
it's
that
just
you may
me
be cursed.
Somehow. Yeah, perhaps so. I've wondered that often. Male sexuality is a whole trip. It's very difficult to pull it apart from all of the bullshit.
Yeah. Also, I'm increasingly of the opinion that all of the men are from Mars, women are from Venus ideas about how male sexuality works as opposed to how female sexuality works is mostly culturally inculcated. I think that
definitely.
This idea that men are into images and women are into whatever else is like, not really. Yeah. It's just that we're
I wonder sometimes how do birds learn such intricate mating dances, and how do they learn such fine points of judgment? And why is it usually that the men are the one doing the males, I should say, are the ones doing the displays, and the females are the ones, making the judgments? And how much of that applies to human behavior?
Well, I would say that from an evolutionary perspective, most human behavior is about fucking. art
Yep.
certainly is. But, you know, much as with food, we can learn to use our evolutionary motivations in ways that are more interesting for our more developed brains.
Or in many cases more unnecessarily complicated and destructive, but so on and so forth.
I think that it is generally birds who are... The birds with the most elaborate mating rituals are the birds that have the fewest natural predators.
Yeah.
It's like if you can just sort of hang out in the forest and, you know, in fact, you can show off how useless you are. Like how you're able to survive despite the fact that your giant tail actually makes it harder for you not to be killed. You know, that's part of it. Showing off, I mean, and like, this is, you know, there are differing schools of thoughts in this, but, you know, there's definitely something sexy about showing off how, you know, how competent and useful you are. But there's a lot in nature and in humanity about how sexy it is to show off how unnecessarily fey and helpless you are also, or how, you know,
Right.
how you are so fancy in defiance of all common sense.
But surely these value judgments are not entering into the minds of the birds, right? It's more just
I mean,
like
if you're,
he's doing
you're
the
asking me
thing.
what's
He's
what's
doing
going on
it
in the
really
minds of
good.
birds, that's a completely separate conversation. But
It
yeah,
is and
well,
it
I mean,
isn't though, right?
It is,
Like,
you're right. It is and it isn't because
we're dealing with the fundamental forces of attraction here. At least as they exist.
How
in
we
birds,
end up in this
but,
is that
how
is
different that may or may
determined that
not
there's
be.
absolutely a genetic, you know, inborn component to this stuff because it's it reifies itself over a million generations to be attracted to the bird with the most ridiculous, you know, chin waddle.
Right.
But you know, it's sort of more interesting to me to think about the ways in which the system doesn't work or winds up in impractical formations or and of course there are examples of birds like the kakapo where the fact that they were so safe for so long, their mating rituals got so Byzantine that it is taking all of the ingenuity of the human race to keep them from dying out from sheer inability to fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Sheer unfuckability.
Which I believe we would call decadence in human in human terms.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I think it goes the distinction. I would say that the distinction between us and birds is that we are capable of using our big primate brains to think about the instincts that our bird brains are shooting at us, and to.
It's true, and yet I'm not sure how common a feat.
You know, we're not
really
talking to the people who are just, you know, burden it out here, are we?
I suppose not.
I mean, our audience is the overthinkers, the intellectualizers, and, you know, in the same way that a VTuber might tell a man of culture to go and touch grass.
I think it might be valid to say to go bird it up, you know, learn to shake off the primate a little bit,
and once again,
and embrace that
drugs
which
can help
the
with
bird
that,
brain
but also
wants you to
please
do.
be kind and considerate and compassionate while you're doing that.
Of course,
you know, safe, sane, and consensual, as the phrase goes.
I'm gonna put some gas in my tank, if you know what I mean.
Can you get the hose in the orifice while you're?
Oh, parking is gonna be such a joy. I also need to let my trucker go to sleep.
On a sort of different note, one of the things that we've sort of been stuck for trucks topics. We want to do more guest trucks. We're certainly going to do an Elden Rings trucks at some point, because that was a big thing that happened in the culture. It was actually pointed out to us via that Elden Ring is Wizards versus Lesbians. We're Zeit. Yeah. Well, at least according to this person who sent this ask. I mean, I could read it to you and you can tell me whether you think that they're right in thinking about this, but, you know.
Probably
for the Elden Ring trucks, perhaps.
Future
but, you know, that's certainly a cultural moment. We'll do that when we can get Elden Ring buddies on here. We want more guest trucks. If you have a thing that you want to talk about on trucks and you haven't been on trucks yet, and you've listened to this far into this episode of Trucks despite everything, just give me a ring ding ding,
or me. Some people have an easier time reaching out to me. Most people are gonna reach out to Isaac, but you can reach out to
absolutely
Josh,
whichever one of us you feel more comfortable with. If you feel more comfortable with the one who hasn't spent this whole episode telling you to take your shirt off, you should talk to Josh. And the idea that you came up with, which I was really charmed by, is that we both record like hour-long monologues individually, and then
oh my god, I said 10 to 20 minutes.
You're right. That we wouldn't both need to do a full truck's worth, would we? But like, I've been thinking about how that would work. You know, I assume that you meant that you would have one following the other, but like, I was thinking about just editing them together. It would be very interesting. I would actually volunteer to do the audio part of that. If you were willing, have a sort of exquisite, not even exquisite corpse, just like two people talking. It's a poem for two voices at that point, and see if like serendipitous interactions come out of it.
The thing is, like, as a solution to the fundamental problem of not having much to talk about, it fails to.
I mean, I feel like there's. I mean,
solution to the problem.
I feel like you could probably just talk to yourself for 20 minutes. I feel like most people could talk to themselves for 20 minutes if called upon to do so.
Yeah, but not without lots of going and just sort of bullshitting about the scenery.
That's fine. That's all part of the experience. I mean, I can edit out the ums if you want.
That's not the point. The point is just talking doesn't mean I'm talking about anything.
It gets closer to the sort of the primal idea of what Trucks was, you know, initially going to be, which is more of an art object than a podcast where two dudes talk about stuff.
That sounds like
I think you might be surprised.
To me, I think that that's just taking us one step closer to the mundanity of online Trucks playthroughs, where it's just some gamer who has a mic in front of him for no reason.
Now, I put it to you that if you talked for 20 minutes and I talked for 20 minutes, you could even write down something and read it for 20 minutes. You could read out of a book for 20 minutes.
I could if I had anything.
That was pretty impressive.
Whoa, you see that turn?
And if I edited sentence by sentence, chopped it up, and interspersed what you said with what I said, then I think something beautiful would come out of it. I put it to you. I put it to you that is what would happen.
But I remain stuck in the first step, which is figuring out what to write about. What words will I utter? I don't know. I could talk about bartending. You could,
talk about your feelings. You could talk about Lucy's. And that would be a
Lucy's Lounge. Oh,
Kaboosh!
Fuck this traffic stop.
Man, our truck is taking a beating this time around.
Yeah, this one's This is a
yeah,
you could situation.
You could get into stuff
Keanu
that
Reeves.
might feel a little bit more sensitive and something that you wouldn't normally talk about trucks, and rely upon the way that I'm chopping it up into art to add the necessary obliqueness.
I don't know. Maybe my emotion sensing faculties have generally been just on mute lately.
Well, I still think it's a good idea, and I'm
That's a whole truck
using this trucks to advocate for it. But if you want to save Josh from having to do that, come and talk about whatever your special interest is on guest trucks.
I'm gonna talk about a medical thing I'm experiencing. I've got a knee which is sore in a weird way.
I don't know.
Am I in the wrong parking lot? Show me my map. Stop. Show me my fucking map. Video game. There we go. No, it's okay. It's... What the fuck?
Yeah,
I see.
Time to teleport several feet to the left.
Here we go. No.
So your knee's fucked up.
Okay, so I've got my knee. It's as if it's inflamed, you know, but the inflammation is subdermal. Like, if I rub my skin, it's fine. If I rub it a little hard, I feel a bit of a burn in there, you know. And this is not necessarily a big deal. It makes it kind of painful to kneel down, maybe. But I'm concerned about this inflammation spreading to the joint, you know. So this is my advice: is take seriously inflammations that are near.
What are you going to do about it?
Don't do what I'm going to do and just ignore it for a long time. Go instead to a clinic or whatever and say to a doctor.
And then the doctor will be like, "Oh, it looks fine to me."
Is there anything?
As they always do with anything that isn't something they can fix with surgery. Yeah. No, I would say ice is a good one. Stretching out your neck is a good one. Weirdly for knees. Tension that you carry in various parts of your body can go all the way down in fun and fascinating ways.
Why couldn't it have been the other way? Anyway.
Sex trucks.
Sex.
What's your favorite sex? Write in the comments.
I'm going on.
Yeah.
I'm going on a date tomorrow.
Try to be sexy for your date.
How?
Gather together a bunch of objects of the same color and arrange them in interesting geometrical patterns, and then hop around in front of them.
I get really hung up on like trying to like navigate what is acceptable, try to intuit like kind of what is being asked for. You know, that's not.
Wear a vest. wear a shirt with no sleeves. Let your arms be out there in the world, and be completely confident about that choice. Magically.
Oh, the parking. Yeah, magical confidence is all it takes.
Let those sleepy eyes of yours do a lot of the work. Do a lot of oblique glancing.
And I do. Barbacking is a good opportunity to present oneself sexually. Because you don't have to talk much. You can, you know, but also like as soon as you experience sort of a lull or a delay in the conversation, it's like, well, I'm gonna fly away now and go do something. You know, it's kind of perfect in that way. And mostly people just get to see you zipping back and forth.
Yeah, you're on display there. I mean, and you're also on display while you're zipping back and forth, so you can experiment with adding like.
Oh yes, the thing about grace, very
twirling
much
and being light on your toes,
moving in a deliberate fashion, slipping right past the other people who are behind the bar with you. It's a very confined space back there. Gotta kind of gotta give a lot of respect to the motions of everybody else.
Yeah, just so you know,
So that's my
channel your.
for any and all hapless men out there is go
I will actually
go
put
become
this
a
to you.
barback.
Channel your barback physicality on this date. Let's see if that.
Oh yes, I mean
Well,
it's the
you
only
go. See if
physicality
that
I
works
have
for
at
you.
this
Lean
point.
into it. Then,
This is a hard one, Isaac. This is a
yeah,
hard one,
I
and
would.
I'm
I
playing
would
it on
not
hard
be.
mode.
I would not call you a coward if you decided to call it at this point. All right,
Can't do that.
there we go.
Can't do that, bud.
That is what we are hearing from the peanut gallery, is that Josh cannot do that.
Bud.
No can do. Josh can't go for that.
I love Steely Dan. I've been kind of getting into Steely Dan. I really like the track. I like to play the track in the bar.
I think my
Royal
favorite Steely
Scam.
Dan song is your favorite foreign movie. But yeah, no,
That's a good one.
much in the same way that when I turned, I think 38, I suddenly got into jazz. I now don't find Steely Dan nearly as annoying as I did when I was a kid, and in fact even enjoy their music.
I think they kind of transcend the whole dad rock
that
thing.
like jazz, you have to have a certain kind. I mean, it's fucking dad music. Let's be real.
It is, but it also has something very much of its own going on.
I mean, it's music for, arty dads. Also, speaking of sex, their name.
There you go. What's better than a?
There you
what's
go.
better than an
listening
dad
to a
without
band named
shirt?
after a dildo.
I know. Yeah.
I think you're gonna do it
Here we go.
on hard mode.
You see how
Yeah.
you see the size of these truck
Oh my god.
wheels?
Oh my god. Oh my.
gosh.
Yes. All right. Now I want you to get into the score zone tomorrow in exactly the same way that you just did there. Exactly.
In a
With
satisfactory
25%
fashion.
damage. After
It'll
after
only cost me
after several false attempts at a very large
$1,993.
barbell. But I believe in you.
Just show off your parallel parking skills.
It's a
That's what the
delicate
babes
touch.
want to see.
All right. I
All
hope
right,
you
gang.
enjoyed this.
Go get laid. Thanks for watching the Trucks Pickup Artist channel. What's the sign off for that? Well, too late now. The gag.
Good night.
The gag has
Yeah.
escaped me. Good night. I love you.